with all these motherfucking ever since it been January and shit. That was the 18 in total. You know what I'm saying, with the shooting and school shooters and shit since it been January. But if you count the first, which is one, and then the 17 afterwards, that's one plus 17.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? So that's that 117 kill code right there again. So they doing this shit like they always do it by the numbers. So I was like, okay, all right. So basically, I'm figuring within the next probably the next big ritual is gonna be Easter Passover. That's gonna be the next big ritual. So we're gonna see how that's gonna correlate. I'm imagining that either it's gonna be some type of child or a pregnant woman that might get hurt
And see
because the
that.
whole spring. Go ahead, brother.
No, I was gonna say that's kind of right in that same time frame of when they be having the NCAA tournaments, right?
Right,
I think.
right. March Madness.
Yeah, I think they what ain't that what them Romans used to call the Ides of March or something like that.
The Ides of March. Right. The
And that
Ides of March.
and that was when what's his name? I think was it Julius Caesar or something that got killed at that time or something.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
they had play on that old history and just keep repeating tragic events. Then pretty much, you know what I'm saying, like
Right.
Japan and shit. I can see that. I can see that.
So we gonna see how this gonna play out.
Life is about questions. The more questions you ask, the more answers you're gonna get. The more answers you get, the more things that you're gonna know. Understand? Look, who said that E equals MC squared? Who's to say that the world ain't square? Who's to say that heaven's even there? Nobody knows, who cares? And why is poverty even an issue? Why don't the people who have got it wanna give you? Who knows if Jay-Z is a Mason? Who knows the real location of the goal that they're chasing? And when will mankind learn to be patient and stop the wrong moves that it's making? See, who said a doctor is a god? The NHS is a business, and who gets robbed? Who's really better off? The brother with a full-time job or the brother who shot?
Okay, family, I'm up here with my man Yaya. Figured we would, just put together a little dialogue, a conversation about what's going on, touch on some current events, and you know, but just
Salam
basically,
to the Moors.
just chopping it up. So it's my man Yaya. I think y'all may be familiar with him from a previous video we had put out, kind of breaking down the Hiscos and the invasion of them from the east. But we're gonna get back to that one too, bro. I'm telling you, like you were saying.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, we definitely gonna make everything fit into a nice little compartment so people can follow along and understand what's going on with the real agenda and how long they really been at this. You know, because everybody thinks that it's just about what's going on right now and what's going on with the affairs in the world, but this is something that's been long brewing. So hopefully this will help people connect the dots and put some things together. And there's going to be other information that's going to be accessible for everybody, so they can actually have a visual to what's going on and see things for themselves. So it should be interesting. Let's
Right.
do it. Let's
Well,
get it.
okay. Okay, so let's go. Let me go in, or let you. Let's discuss and have a little conversation, a little bit about I guess it's called gematria, or just about some of these numbers that's getting played out in front of us that a lot of these white folks is basing some of these events off of. I mean, I guess I could
Well,
maybe,
I guess to give people a preface, they got to understand that when you start understanding just exactly what numerology is, it's not anything that's a spooky science. This is something that came out of the Kemetic temples and got transferred into ancient Babylon and India and so on and so forth, and eventually got picked up by the secret that secretly worship us and learn everything from our temple. So we have to understand that this is nothing that is just how they try to play it on Disney and all these different programs with spookism and things like that. Now this is a very real science. When you understand how to deal with numbers, you have to understand that there were only 9 numbers, 1 through 9. Zero is basically a placeholder or a multiplier. So when you have any number, no matter how big it is, it could always be reduced down to a single value. So if you have a number like 217, 217 is 2 plus 1 plus 7. So you have 10 right there. 10 can be reduced down to just 1. That still is number 1. So when you start dealing with these different sciences and how numbers resonate energy and all they are alive, people don't realize that. This is why we don't understand as who we are as more is that we have to understand how to master math because that's what exactly what life is. When this is why you arise with problems in life and you have to find a right mathematical equation to solve the problem.
No doubt.
Everything revolves around numbers. If you really think about it, your address, social security number, etc.
Now see that now okay, now I'm gonna let that lead right into my next question. What now give me a couple examples, I guess, of what you done peeped as far as some of these events that's going on right now that's, revolving around some of these numbers. Like we can start wherever. Let me see. Um
Oh well, I think to give people just a basis, a ground basis, if they're not already familiar with the Masonic structure or the numbers that are important to them, um, 3, 6, 9, 12, 19, 33, any variation of a multiple 11. 11 is a very divine number in the sense of what they believe in. Now, I'm not going to break down what each number means right now in terms of 1 through 9, but basically, we have to understand that when you go back into ancient Kemet and understand our creation story, you had what they had was they had the old God and they have the Anid, was basically the 8 and 9. From the 8 is basically representing the subatomic particles that consist of life inside of the primordial waters before it bursts out. When those 8 elements come together and burst out, the 9 comes out, which would be atom or the atom or what they call the Higgs part of the Higgs boson or the God particle. And this is exactly what is going on with these European scientists right now. They're trying to recreate that process of when life bursts out of the primordial waters. And that moment is when the Higgs particle the Higgs boson and the God particle is created. So that is exactly what this CERN uh, atom collider is all about. And what we need to understand is that we are living in the past as well. And when I say that, I mean, we like to think that when we think about all the ancient civilizations that were before us, we like to think of them as primitive, having carriages and camels and horses and having rags and things like that. The reality of the situation is that those ancient civilizations were far more advanced in technology and harnessing the ley lines and the magnetic energy force and the toroidal force of the earth plane. So we're actually living in a situation where the people who are allowing the information to come out are giving us crumbs and niblets and giving us things that dazzle us, like televisions and smartphones and iPhone X's and things like that, which is actually manifesting this whole fake God that they actually worship in secret. So this is something that people really need to grasp. What we're about to go into.
okay now bro, I don't know if you can see right now, but I tried to screen share it. I just wanted to put up a chart of somebody it say a gematria chart if you Google it and then you go to the images or whatever. So I'm not exactly for sure which one of these may be accurate, but it should be showing up on your screen. I don't know if you can see that or
Right.
not. But some of these they kind of got them termed like I see one that says a Pythagorean English gematria, then they got a Jewish
Well, basically,
gematria.
there are a lot of different ciphers of gematria, but
That's what
a lot of what they call the Pythagorean form is basically when you take any number and you well not any number. I'll say there's 26 letters in the alphabet, and so you will assign each number to a letter. A would be 1, B would be 2, C would be 3, etc.
right.
When the that form of gematria 1 through 26 gematria, which is just straightforward gematria. A lot of us, I'm pretty sure, if we go back to grade school and we used to do like secret notes, we probably actually use that form of gematria, not understanding that that's exactly what it was. It was just a childhood code.
Okay.
Then when you take these numbers 1 through 26 and you reduce the numbers like say 26. So 2 plus 6 is 8, and so on and so forth. So the 12th letter of the alphabet. Um, so if you take the regular gematria, it's 12, but if you reduce that number, it goes down to 3. So that's the difference between regular gematria and Pythagorean. When you start dealing with, say, Hebrew gematria, Hebrew gematria goes 1 through 9, and then it goes 40, 60, 80. It's a different type of cipher that you really actually have to understand the numbers. Then they have other ciphers that instead of A through Z being 1 through 26, Z would be 1 and it goes in reverse. So that's why I refer people all the time to go to gematinator.com so that they can actually see all the ciphers, and all they have to do is import can see exactly what the numerical value of these words represent. The guy who put the site together did a very good job of actually putting things together so it's easily accessible for people who are just curious or people who are more adept at the science. So I would recommend anybody who's interested in what we're talking about right now to definitely look up that site and start messing around with different words and phrases and see how the numbers add up to different things.
Okay, got you. So now, if we was to punch in, okay, one of the events that kind of recently just happened, besides, I mean, and we'll jump on that Florida shooter, but one of the events I think that kind of happened right before that was the shooting in Las Vegas. Now,
Right,
I don't know if what the number or the gematria would be for Las Vegas or but I think I'm gonna try. Matter of fact, what I am gonna do is I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna attach clips of these different codes from that website on this video so people can kind of see like
right, right.
what they
Well,
were saying.
to put things in a more contemporary sense, and related to what's going on right now in America and how we live it. I think this is the most important thing for people so they can go research and actually look at the gematria that I'm not the only person who has discovered these different codes and different things and how they're orchestrating situations. There are a lot of different people who are even more learned than me in the whole idea of what gematria is and how much time they invest in it. But from my knowledge and what I found, this is what I want to relate to the people. So um, we have to realize that sports, military, politics, gun legislation, all these different things, basic civil human rights, transhumanism, all these different things that are going on right now in America that are hotbed topics. These are things that they're trying to synthesize into the consensus psyche of the so-called American people. These are the things that they want us to partition our minds in between family and religion and going to work and gas and all these different type things. So when we go back into September 11th, we have to realize that the whole idea of what happened that day set the table for everything that we're facing right now. It was a very intricate program that happened. Now I'm not going to go into breaking down 9/11 and all this different type of stuff, but what I am going to say is that we need to pay attention to is that when you look at the word September, sept means 7. So when you look at 9/11, really you're looking at 7/11. And for those who want to go do a little bit of research about calendars and things like that, you have to understand that the Greeks and the Romans changed the number and the words and also how many months it was in a year various times. It could have been anywhere from 7 to 9 to 13 months, depending on which calendar you want to go to. But basically what I'm saying is that you have to realize that the main numbers to realize are 7 and 11, but the events that are coded is with the 9 and 11, and there's a lot of symbology involved with the number 9. But what I'm focusing on right now is the 7 and 11. Now, for people to get a preface of what to understand, you go back into what happened with, like I said, 9/11, and then we go look at what happened to how Tom Brady basically became the representative for everything that's American, and how the whole everything numerology revolves around that. If you want to go back to the LA, the St. Louis Rams. The St. Louis Rams were the greatest show on turf. They were favored to win that Super Bowl. Um, there was the first game of the season. The Patriots played the Jets. At that time, Drew Bledsoe was the quarterback for the Patriots. He got hit by a jet, which was Mo Lewis, and Mo Lewis was basically a straightforward Easter egg to what the showdown in the Super Bowl was going to be. It's a play on St. Louis, Missouri. So Mo Lewis, a jet, hit number 11, Drew Bledsoe, and he caused him. He fell down and he had internal bleeding. That's like a metaphor for the internal bleeding that strike did on America's psyche. When
Right.
you start to go look at Drew Brees was born in 1971. There you go. There's that 17 again. But when he played that season was his season playing in the league. Now I forgot a part. Well, basically what I'm saying, he's born in 1971. That was the first. That was the year that the towers were erected. So there's a symbolism in that itself. Then at that year in 2002, that year that they won the Super Bowl, he was in his nice that 2001 2002 season. He was in his nice season. So there's that 9/11 right there. Then you go back into how the Patriots got to the Super Bowl. That was the year that the Tuck Rule came out, and the Raiders had got fucked out the Super Bowl. So we go
Raiders
into
was
that, and then you go into the NFC Championship. The Rams played the Eagles and destroyed the Eagles that year. So all this symbolism going on with America coming together at the darkest hour, and all this homeland security, all that shit started back then with Tom Brady representing what America really is. Then you go back to how they even came out. It was in the Superdome, was red, white, and blue confetti. Then you had the Rams came out individually, but this year was the first year that Tom Brady and the whole entire Patriots came out as a unit, which was symbolic of America unifying in this moment. Fast forward, they Tom Brady became Tom Brady in the fourth quarter for the first time, going down. It's all type of Rams coming in left and right, blitzing. He's still making these accurate pinpoint passes and all this different type of shit. Now, mind you, this is a fifth round quarterback. Nobody ever heard of fucking Tom Brady. So
now.
all these different things, all these different events were meant for him to go through. And I'm not gonna go through all the different years that every time they pass a legislature, saying the Patriots won the Super Bowl, and the year that what was that dude name that played for the I think it was the Cardinals or whatever. He wound up dying in Afghanistan or something like that. And
Oh yeah.
it was a whole bunch of just a patriot, saying Americanism shit.
Now let me. I just decided to look up real quick. I said, hold on, let me just double check the score from the Super Bowl with the Patriots against the Falcons last year.
Right,
Now that score was 34-28. Now I'm seeing 3 plus 4 is 7, and I see the 2 plus 8 is 10.
right,
So I see a couple of
right,
17s kind of mixed in there, and then I noticed that the date of the game was February 5th, and of course year 17. And
right,
so I just happened to notice. I just wanted to see, like, okay, well, let me just check it. And I see that the Patriots record ended up being 17-2. So I just
right.
I just happened to see a couple of those 17s that you were mentioning with that 7-11. I guess we could.
Right. And last year's Super Bowl was Super Bowl LI.
Yeah.
So there's your 17 right there.
Right. That's
So
yeah. That's
I
crazy.
mean, yeah, it's right in front of our face. And actually, last year, I'm not even gonna lie, like I did some gematria on Atlanta and the Patriots, and I thought that they were going to win, but I thought Atlanta was going to win by 3 points. Tom Brady was good. I thought the upset was going to happen last year, basically. Because I
Mm.
mean, basically, there's two things that you don't do. You don't bet on Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, and you don't bet against him in the Super Bowl. So anybody who would have thought, oh well, Tom Brady is going to be. I mean, it's a journeyman quarterback. Nick Foles hasn't had a good season since Chip Kelly was coaching the Eagles in 2013, and I'm pretty sure if you do the gematria on the time period that the last time that Nick Foles started for the Eagles versus the time he started now, I'm pretty sure you'll find some correlation in numbers in that.
Yeah, see, I'm just now you got me kind of wanting to check into some things to see if that number keep playing out. And let me see. But you, because I was thinking when you mentioned the Super Bowl, that one Super Bowl, man, where they played Seattle, and in the last, I guess they decided to throw on the 1 yard line, and they got intercepted instead of giving it to Marshawn Lynch.
Right,
And so I'm just over here
right.
checking that out. Let me see, what is that? That's I guess that's well, it was 28-24 score that. Okay, but hold on, man. I don't even want to get too caught off into the Super Bowl in those numbers. But okay, so bang, you saying basically that things revolving around that 7-11 or maybe 9-11, depending on how it's looked at. These events are
Oh,
being orchestrated by people who
oh,
know.
on my Facebook page, I break down a lot of different events, numerology wise, and try to show people exactly how these numbers actually break down
Right,
and what they actually mean in the sense of what these numbers represent when they keep on reoccurring. If you see this number, you're going to know that it's fake news, propaganda, um, what alternative facts, whatever you want to call it now, or kill, death, murder, disease, because it's hard to explain for people who are not open-minded enough to understand that no matter how much you want to understand about the ancient world, about ancient Kemet and ancient Indus Kush and ancient Amexem and all these different places that we were at, we have to get past that. We have to get things into the contemporary and understand that the people who run this world took those lessons that we taught them, and they are using those same sciences to keep us subjected mentally, physically, and spiritually.
right,
So
no doubt.
to look at things in the proper context, we cannot disbelieve the idea that our enemy is actively looking to deceive us and continue to perpetuate the state mentally and spiritually that we're in.
No doubt, no
So
doubt.
this science of these numbers are exactly how they're using because they resonate. And us as melanated peoples, as Moors, Hebrews, whatever you want to call yourself, we are melanated people who resonate frequency, and we don't understand that everything that happens is a code. And what they've done is that they've manipulated this code for their own means.
Okay, now hold
So
on.
when you look at,
Hold on. I hear the music. Let's get this break, and then we gonna jump right back in
oh
to
yeah,
how they manipulating these codes. And we can point out some examples of where they showing us how they go about manipulating these codes. And yeah, so y'all just grab y'all a little water, get y'all libations or whatever, get everything right,
oh
and
yeah, absolutely. We're gonna keep it lit.
yeah. So we'll be right back, family, and you know,
If there's life on the moon
get
and we
ready.
see them there, how can we really get
Okay.
prepared for something that we don't know is there? And why don't we share? And why does a man need to be a millionaire? And why can't we wear what we wanna wear without the robots that stop and stare? And how come we're unaware? And why do people say they wanna know about it when they don't care? And how does the unconscious become conscious? How